And the other manager, Yang Kun, she was like, Andre, you really need to help him. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get around to it. Did not find any time for it. I feel so bad. So I'm not.
If Hwangsin loses,
take Coach Gretorp out right now. It's just Caster Gretorp.
Well, you really know what happens then if Hwangsin doesn't
Please don't say anything. Don't say anything. Because I also rooted for Thorzain.
You picked Thorzain prediction. Wow, talk about stacking the deck.
Oh God. Yeah, I feel like a terrible person.
For those of you who don't know, Andre is like an official coach the team it's goes to.
Oh God, I'm so sorry,
which is what Hwangsin team. That's the team he's on. The blue Protoss player in the top right corner. Andre, breathe, man.
I'm such a terrible human being right now.
You're just.
Dude,
you're busy.
I didn't vote for. Anyway, Hwangsin starts.
That is pretty bad though to be a vote against your own player.
Dude, I just think Thorzain is
he's a beast.
He's a monster.
Like,
I don't think anybody can not say that.
I mean, he has been the title holder of best foreign Terran for a long time. A lot of people are saying when Lucifron practices, because I mean, a lot of people are bandwagoning now saying Lucifron's really good, but it's one of those things where when Lucifron's practicing, he's on top of his game. He's definitely one of the best players, if not the best player in Europe. But also Major, those three guys I think are in the top 3 contention right now, but Thorzain's always been like the guy to go to. He's kind of like the Nest-T of Terran. People said, you know, when they think about top Zergs, for a long time it was Nest-T, but then people started incorporating Dongregu and Leenock and Symbol, but everyone always kind of refers to Nest-T as the first Zerg great. And that's the way I see Thorzain. That's why it's always hard to bet against him.
Yeah, and
I'm spending a long time trying to justify your pick, Andre.
Let's be honest, Thorzain is not known for his Terran versus Zerg or his Terran versus Terran. He's known for his Terran versus Protoss. That's how he got a lot of, I would say...
TSL3, man.
Yeah, TSL3 was the #1 thing that gave him the most promotion, I think. And of course, his amazing run, not only against Naniwa, but also against MC. I mean, his matches were absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. And I know Thorzain has since gone on record to say TVP, for a while he didn't know how to play it. That's when people thought TVP was a really tough matchup for Terran to play. But I think it's now kind of transitioned back where a lot of Terran players feel more comfortable playing against Protoss and Zerg. And it's really funny because a lot of Terrans actually complain about playing Terrans nowadays. They say TVT is kind of like one of the weirder matchups to play, especially with all the coin flips. So we'll see how Thorzain really fares in this situation. He is going for a pretty standard build here, going for a quick command center, but he's also double gassing off of 2 racks, which is a very interesting thing because Thorzain likes to play with gas timings, like 2 SCVs on a geyser instead of 3.
Keep going. Just keep going. I like whatever you're saying.
Is he doing that? Yeah. Oh. Okay, never mind. He's putting 3 on each.
This is the same build that I do.
Is it?
I go 2 racks, double gas directly after this. I think it is the best build to do. And the person that I got this from was Thorzain. He was the one that introduced me that you can defend any all-in with 3 bunkers. All you have to do is have SCVs and get your tech lab fast enough. And you get your tech lab. This stim should finish around 8 minutes. That's when most all-ins come. So all you have to do is hold off for approximately 20 seconds, which is doable. Get your stim, and you're able to actually really take out anything that comes your way.
It was really safe against the 4-gate blink 1 base, which is not what Hwangsin is doing, but for those of you who might be curious who want to copy this build, how does it fare against, because that's the scariest build.
Yeah, it's fine. You just make sure that you see no expansion coming up, and you just switch over to 4
barracks?
Yeah, 4 barracks. And what you end up doing is instead of getting the stim, you get combat shields.
I'm always very stubborn and get the factory in Starbucks. I want the medevacs. I always think 2 medevacs make such a big difference, but then Stalkers blink and snipe them. I'm like, well, that was
well, 150 minerals for the factory, 100 gas for the factory, and then 150, 100 for the starport, and then 200, 200 for the medevacs.
And then Stalkers to blink underneath.
Just to heal 10 hit points. It's like, maybe I gotta rethink that. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that's really hard to defend if you go medevacs. But yeah, the way to do it is actually go for the barracks. But for here, engineering bay is coming up and factory. This is going to facilitate a 10-minute timing medevac. Right around there, he's going to push out around 10 minutes, 30 seconds, or he'll be at the Xel'Naga Tower at around 10:30, and that'll really enable him to deny any third bases, premature third bases, while at the same time putting on pressure on his opponent. Now, what do we see from Hwangsin? He's doing a very interesting build where he goes Robo and then double Forge. Normally you see double Gateways directly after this. And this is to prepare for that prepare for that medevac timing that normally comes around 10 minutes. So he'll have 1-1 by then. He'll have efficient units, and hopefully he can get his third by just sheer upgrades.
Yeah, and sometimes we see Korean Protoss kind of flirt with the idea of going for a fast Twilight after their robotics as well to get things like Blink, and then go 1 Forge, right? But going for double Forge, I always am a big proponent of fast upgrades in TV on either side. But this is also very interesting that I want to note that Hwangsin has 2 probes per gap at his natural. So he's scaling it back a little bit so he can squeeze out, I guess, more probes because he's spending a lot of Chrono Boost non-stop on his next side. Yeah, this is a cool style. Yeah,
very interesting. Of course, he just wants to saturate his mineral line before actually getting to gas. That's what you need to do, really, when you are going robotics bay. Yes, you need a lot of gas, but you a lot of times are very short in the mineral area. So you need to obviously really prioritize that first. Here's the 9-minute push out. This is just to get your Marines and Marauders over to the other side, and medevac should be popping out. Wow, this is actually really fast. I do want to say I actually misread this build ever so slightly. He got the engineering bay a little bit later. His first 100 gas went to getting the factory rather than getting the +1, so it does come out that much faster. It should work out to...
Are we doing math again on stream?
Yeah, I'm doing math again on stream. I'll figure it out while you actually
here's some math for you. Hwangsin will have 2-2 start very soon as the Twilight Conquest finish. It already has finished, so he has to be careful of this 10 minutes to medevac timing that most Terrans use just to set up some minor aggression to deny Protoss' third while setting up their own. Very textbook from Thorzain. Just has to make sure not to overcommit. It's very easy to just lose a huge pack of your bio, and then you can't have any aggression. But this is a very vulnerable spot for Hwangsin before he's able to really do anything. Hwangsin's attacking his own gateway.
Yeah, you take that gateway. You take that. No, obviously.
Wow. That was warming up, sharpening the thermal lances.
Yeah. By the way, it's 25 seconds faster that you get your factory up.
How sick would that be, though, if you like charged up your thermal lance like Void Rays?
Like Void Rays? Oh, God. That would be sick if you could do that with Zealots. Like, after a certain amount of attacks, they actually dull their blades, and then they have to attack their own buildings to get plus attack. Yeah, from the shields, man.
Man, it's like such a weird like mechanic, but it's very cool.
You'd see so many MMA games where Zealots are killing Nexuses on accident.
Like repeats of the Illusion game where you kill your own head.
Yeah.
We see a slew of upgrades for both players and a Ghost Academy, a very early Ghost Academy from Thorzain. I guess he didn't see the Colossus, and Hwangsin did hide it, so it could be his idea that he thinks his opponent is going for Factory Tech, but he's also going for Vikings at this point, so he's stretching his gas very thin, Andre. And he's starting a second starport. Very, very good play from Thorzain. I do like earlier Ghost, though. I feel like Terrans have been delaying it for so long. But more of that Eastern European style of getting Ghosts early, like Happy, like Beast, early Ghosts.
I think that's a lot better in this position. Thorzain is actually misreading the position by getting that second starport. Yes, it's good against the Colossus, but Hwangsin, really his gas investment isn't in getting a ton of Colossus really, really fast. It's in getting these upgrades. The upgrades are the ones that are so important. Now, you might say, okay, this third base is really delayed, but Hwangsin lately has been playing a style where he's just comprehensive in every single defense against a lot of the range that his opponent can do. Oh my gosh, look at this. Thorzain lifted. I think he thought that it might be some sort of all-in. No, I have no clue why he lifted. It was an accident.
He lifted
his third base. I'm sorry.
It's probably just a simple accident. You know, something that's actually kind of cool is that Thorzain.
You see this?
Oh, the mule.
I'm sorry.
The draw mule to repair the factory. That's pretty dope, man. Wow, now he can keep his factory alive to see if he cancels that third base and also to see the scout unit positioning. Such a, I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg of how smart of a player Thorzain is. Another smart thing that Thorzain does is he actually puts the lift on F because to help lift faster, and because a lot of times you miss the L button. A little tip for Terran players also. I do that too.
How could you tell that?
Oh, I watch the stream a lot. I watch Thorzain stream almost religiously, man.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So very important to note. I know people do that with burrow and unburrow as well.
Yeah.
So right
I
now,
always burrow, and I always unburrow when I mean to burrow and vice versa.
like,
all right, unburrow now, and they go straight into the ground. I'm like, okay. Hwangsin trying to see where the Terran army is. At this point, Thorzain's playing very good zone defense. He's got 9 Vikings, which is a pretty reasonable number. Oh, he's got 10 actually.
This is the 2-2 timing, by the way, from Hwangsin. And this is such a good timing, too, because you can see Hwangsin is 20 seconds away from actually getting his 2-2. So this is hitting at a perfect time. And look, this actually zoning his opponent out. This is such a great position. Now force fielding again. Thorzain is going to wait. I don't think that's the best way to actually go about this, but what can he really do? Going into the main base. Oh my gosh. Thorzain losing so much position.
No, but the Colossus are taking a lot of free damage without retaliation, and even though, yes, he's going to lose a lot of production, Hwangsin's almost completely sealing the fate of his army straight into the main base of Terran, and as long as Thorzain doesn't lose too much production, Hwangsin could be asking for a world of pain in the counterattack. The Vikings are dealing with the Colossus very nicely. Thorzain playing very patiently, not trying to overextend himself, but now only Gateway remain. Oh, and lifting his starports. Very clever play. He needs those starports for later on. Thorzain going for a mass stim. No more sentry energy. The time for confrontation is now. +2 and +2 has finished for both players, and Thorzain will clean up this army very easily. Although his +3 has been stalled by the Zealots. Very nice play. Now, Hwangsin, do you have the ability to counterattack? Oh, he killed the 3rd.
Yeah, he killed the 3rd, and not only that, killed one of the starports, which is so fantastic. You can see that the medevac count is still pretty good. 4 medevacs on the field. How many Oh, wait, 10 Okay, forget it. Forget what I was about to say. I was going to say, oh, he has no Vikings, so, Colossus are going to be so much better. Wrong, wrong. These Colossus are going to get smacked in the face.
Yeah, and
but you know what? Hwangsin's still in a great position. He can give up this 3rd base and just be like, okay, ain't no thing.
He's going to try to hold the 3rd base. He's putting up 5 cannons.
I don't mind that at all.
So, and Thorzain does have a pretty good bountiful of energy on his medevac, so we can keep healing for a while. And
is charge up, by the way?
Charge is up.
Charge is up. That's going to be so helpful.
+3 is only halfway done. Thorzain's picking a very nice time to strike. If you can completely get a good position, avoid getting force fielded and his Zealots smacking his army, Thorzain could make some magic happen there. But it's going to be tough.
Oh, my. This is a very tough position for Thorzain to be in. But we might see the big attack right now, and probes are being pulled. Hwangsin knows this is the most important battle right now.
Yeah, but the Zealots are engaging without any Guardian Shield support, and Thorzain cut it beautifully to be able to take out the army. And, that's a great job there. Now the Colossus have been dealt with. No more real AoE. Dodging the force fields like a champ. Thorzain avoiding the Protoss ability to lock down and engage the army face to face, using the force field to his advantage, and now Thorzain is able to really confront the army of Terran. Is very strong. Sure, +3 is about to finish, but Thorzain got everything he wanted from that fight.
Oh, absolutely. But these Zealots will be a little bit more powerful. You can see that Thorzain really doesn't have much substance to this army anymore, and because the Marine count isn't too high, that's actually a big problem going into this. But now taking out the Natural, obviously the best possible situation for Thorzain. But he will lose his army now, so they're going to trade up. The counterattack was pretty successful.
Yeah, I mean, he's able to kill a bunch of the gas-intensive units. Hwangsin not only loses all of his army, but he also lost a huge part of his economy as well. His probe count is very low, and Thorzain's back on triple orbital. And, Thorzain didn't lose that much production, man. Like, he still has 9 barracks, and he still has 1 starport, so as long as he can keep those things in check, Hwangsin, I don't think he can really keep up too much because he's might out of his main.
Yeah, what Hwangsin needed actually was the High Templar switch. He needed something like Archons in that last fight to be able to keep up with that mass bio. Obviously, his opponent is hard countering. I can say hard countering because that's a lot of Vikings for the amount of Colossus that were on the field. So the Colossus instantly die and you have just Gateway units. Well, do you have anything of substance with your Gateway units? Not really. That's why probes had to have been pulled. If not, he would have died straight up right there. But if Hwangsin just teched over, even if it's Dark Templars and you get Archons out, that's going to be enough, because when Marauders are attacking 37 times just to kill a single Archon, that's a big problem.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for Hwangsin to hold off this follow-up push from Thorzain, just because Thorzain just has so much more ability to macro at this point. Thorzain also starting to get Ghost onto the field, so even though Hwangsin sure is transitioning to High Templars, Hwangsin's more than prepared. He's taking 4th base. The Spoon Terran back at work, man.
Yes, sir. And
do
Thorzain,
everything to push an advantage until actually pushing the advantage.
he's certainly showing why he is a world-class TVP expert. And honestly, coming back from that, when Protoss is all the way inside your main base, taking out your starport, taking out some barracks, but for the most part, just being so cost-efficient, that really shows you you know, his understanding of the matchup, how he actually is able to dissect what you're capable of having, what you can have in this position, and then making the best decisions. Thorzain obviously attacking when Hwangsin was absolutely weakest, and his only timing really. Just great
thing
play.
is, Thorzain is giving time to Hwangsin. I felt like he could just kill them, actually. But I mean, that's just Thorzain's style. That's why he is a Spoon Terran.
Yeah.
Don't kill you with an axe or hammer, kill you with a spoon. And at this point, Thorzain is just waiting for the huge guaranteed army advantage. He'll get Ghost in his composition. He will have +3/+3, and he'll have such a decisive macro advantage. And at this point, Hwangsin just really has units, and he can't really afford to keep bolstering his economy because he only can focus on making units. And that's going to sabotage his ability to really reinforce, if there's even a chance to reinforce.
Hwangsin does need to think about getting his 4th base, though. I mean, staying on just basically 2 mining bases for this long, yeah, it's definitely going to be 2 mining bases for this long, isn't going to be that great. He's mining out of his first gas over here on the left-hand side. That is a big problem. And of course, his assimilars are being mined out, too. They still have a good about 7 minutes left on this guy's use.
All right, well, we do see that Thorzain is moving out. He's maxed. He does have a few ghosts in his army. Doesn't have Cloak just yet, or +3 armor, while Protoss is on +3/+3. Guardian Shields popped. That means Hwangsin's sort of committed at this point. Good force fields to traps on the army, and Storms. Very nice, but again, the huge part of the bio is caught behind the force field, and Thorzain has plenty of units to spare. High Templar are walking straight into units. There's just so much bio. The AoE doing a fantastic job. Thorzain trying to bring his other Vikings to destroy the remainder of the Colossus. 13 kills, very nice job. And all of a sudden, Hwangsin fought very efficiently, but still, this is a strong army from Thorzain. Just need to kind of focus the Archon's kite very nicely and should be able to deal with the army, but at this point, I guess Thorzain's just going to back off and might live to another day.
Nice shot by Hwangsin, actually pushing his opponent back. He's going to come over here and be like, oh, wow, you have a 4th base. That's doing pretty well. This is really scary. And yes, it looks kind of bad, but there it is. The next reinforcement wave will come in here to really solidify the positioning for Thorzain. Right now, I mean, there's not much Hwangsin can do. As it stands, time is against him. He doesn't have a 4th base. You can see he's down to 5 gases now, about to be 4 gases. Losing a third of your gas income is pretty substantial.
Yes.
I don't need to go into that anymore.
I completely agree, Andre. But at this point, in any PvX late game matchup, your limiting factor always is gas. I mean, that can be said about almost every race, unless you're playing certain styles of Terran. But more so that you want to be able to keep the High Templars being warped, and you want to be able to make the Colossus, that AoE composition that Terran struggles with. And you need the availability of being able to warp into multiple places, like to protect yourself against drops. Imagine if Thorzain was dropping in multiple places. Then Hwangsin would really have no answer because he's concentrating everything on defending this 4th base. But Thorzain is doing, I guess, that patent in Thorzain style, just really sitting back, making sure he's really safe. Yeah. And now he's making mass ghosts, and that's going to pose a huge problem to Hwangsin. He can't get away with doing Sentry Storm the way he did in the last fight, because Thorzain only had 1-2 ghosts. This time, it's going to be for real. Like, both Thorzain, next time we fight, will be like, all right, man, send all your spellcasters at me. I got this.
Exactly. I mean, ghosts are hardy as they are, 100 hit points, but not only that, the EMP, the snipes, and the 20 damage that they do against light units, which are, of course, the weakness to Marauders. Marauders are not good at dealing with Zealots. Of course, Archons are still a big problem, but with EMPs, it's very, very manageable. So, yeah, having those ghosts in plentiful numbers is really going to clean everything up. The way you actually punish this is actually get a lot of Colossus and defend those Colossus as much as possible. Actually, Stalker, Archon, Colossus builds are able to take down a lot of these compositions when they over-invest in Ghosts. But Thorzain not going to do that. You can see pumping out Vikings now. He's at 8 Vikings, 4 at a time are coming out.
Yeah.
And really, Hwangsin has no ability to say, I'm going to attack, because his 4th base is so delayed. So he's going to be forced to just sit back, relax. That means Thorzain really shouldn't be pushing out until he maxes out with all Vikings.
Well, Thorzain now starting to get the Terran building armor upgrade, the sign that we like to say that the game has been going way too long. But Thorzain at this point is also adding on more command centers. And that's what you need to really start doing that mass orbital style, Andre, to be able to start capitalizing on having less workers. Thorzain starting to snipe also some high templars here and there, pushing in. Very nice. He scans and sees the army. That's a very big money scan, because now he's able to catch the high templars and dodge storms. Just needs to land a couple EMPs, a couple snipes as well onto the army. And all of a sudden, Thorzain has 3 less templars to worry about.
Feedbacks are going to be a lot more important than actually trying to storm out this army just with the amount of ghosts on the field. They're going to be a lot more powerful. You can do that, but of course it's hard to do that in these positions. Here we go again.
Very
he
nice.
actually wants to blink. Oh, he needs to actually incorporate blink into this. Blink Stalkers actually takes out this type of harassment with the ghost.
You can blink
so
forward and snipe immediately.
That's exactly right. Oh, nicely done by Hwangsin yet again.
But he's storming ghosts that are backing off that can kind of heal, so it's as if he's dealing with a high Templar just in itself. And you have to be careful of another storm. Oh, this is starting to get a little bit dangerous here for Thorzain. He's running low on medevac energy. In fact, Hwangsin's going to full out engage. The Vikings were not in position to take the front of the damage, but Thorzain's going to land some pretty decent EMPs on the High Templars.
Beautiful storms on top of all those Vikings, and now that empowers the Colossi. You can see the Colossi actually cleaning up a lot. I think Hwangsin had a fight that he could have picked right there, but he backed up the wrong decision. Now the Colossi are a little bit open, but you can see how fast these Colossus just melt the Terran bio.
Yeah, you can see that Thorzain does have some army, though he's still pushing very valiantly, but the reinforcement Vikings, as long as he can deal with the Stalkers, then there's no real answer to them. In fact, he doesn't have detection really to even deal with the Ghost. And Thorzain using this patented Cloak Ghost to snipe Colossus, able to push back Hwangsin on his 4th base. Thorzain has firm control over the Protoss center.
Absolutely. These Ghosts now taking out the probes, two-shotting them, of course, because probes are light units. But from here on out, actually, I'm sorry, Thorzain only has 1 mining base. Wow, so this is actually a lot closer than I thought. Even though Hwangsin at 80 supply to his opponent's 125, you know, miracles can happen. With AoE, you can slip up once, lose a ton of ghosts, and that
that hurts.
Yeah, that production is just, or not production, but unit count is severely hampered going into the main fight.
That's right. I do have to commend Hwangsin for holding out as long as he is, considering the macro disadvantage he has, and that's kind of a very interesting phenomenon, because the later he expands, the less that he actually needs to continue to expand, because he has more resources available to him. He's been fighting much more efficiently. You can see that even though, sure, Hwangsin has been losing more ground, Thorzain's the one who's been losing more resources because he's been committing so much to his attacks. And the Vikings are pretty expensive, Andre. Something that I found out very quick when I played Terran.
Oh, yeah.
Vikings are super expensive. 300
minerals every 42 seconds. It works out to around 450 minerals if you want to produce it a minute. That is almost a mining base. It's 2/3 of a mining base if you want to commit all to Viking production. That is very expensive. Wow. Half if you're using mules.
Yeah, well, man, I mean, talk about mules. There's a huge mule party in the top left.
Wow,
and,
let's look at the income tab.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's gonna be almost 3,000. It's over 3,000. Will it go to 4,000?
4,000, 4,000. Can we see 4,000?
No,
we don't see a 4,000. One day we'll see over 9,000.
Yeah. I mean,
How
if
sick will that be? Oh my
That'd be
gosh.
really cool if there's like gold mineral patches and then platinum mineral patches. And if you're like really good, you get like diamond mineral patches.
Grandmaster mineral patches.
Grandmaster mineral patches. Drop mules and you get like 4,000 minerals per second.
Frodan, promise me this, okay? If we ever become a gamer of some sort, or we're ever in even a caster tournament, and you're winning by a large margin, just get a ton of command centers, drop mules all over the place, and then tell the casters to go to the income tab and say, look, over 9,000. How sick would that be?
That would be really fun.
How sick would that be?
And then I would have Napa tweet at me and be like, what?
9,000?
Thorzain now starting to continue to mass up ghosts. Some players actually really like favoring very heavy ghosts. I'm talking about 30, 40 ghosts.
Right here, baby.
That's just like an absurd amount when you feel like maybe is that too many ghosts? And you start realizing you trade out SCVs, you realize you don't need as many workers. Thorzain still has 55 workers, and you know, he can start trading out some as long as he has good enough command centers. And look at this, Thorzain is starting to get nukes into his composition for his ghosts.
So important in TVP. Nukes actually bust up positions. Really? You can see that they are kind of in a position where neither of the players actually want to attack each other, but the nukes, what it does is actually forces Hwangsin to either attack and fully engage at the cost of, what, one ghost basically, and a nuke, or it forces you back all the way, and then you're able to make the first move and really get the advantageous ground. Of course, make sure you cancel the nuke if you're actually going forward.
Yeah, Thorzain scanning and non-stop. Hwangsin dodging as many scans as he can, keeping an observer alive is very difficult at this stage of the game. That's why we always try to recommend getting observer's speed, but at this point, Hwangsin's still pinching pennies here to get all the gas units out. Oh, the first nuke is aimed here directly at the Nexus. Now, of course, does Hwangsin notice it? I don't think he does. Honestly, the nuke's about to drop.
Hwangsin cam. Oh, he sees it. He sees it, and he knows it's going to hit. Very unfortunate.
That's good. Now, you know, and people be like, well, what did that really do? It took out the cannon, but it also gave Thorzain a lot of positioning because Hwangsin can't really get into his Nexus and set up that concave there. And now all of a sudden, and because one nuke's down to the field, Hwangsin has to be very respectful.
Almost. Oh, there it is. That's what I'm talking about. You need to be able to actually initiate onto those ghosts. Don't let them actually get those free MPs. There it is. Blink up. Very nicely done. And this is also what you need to do. Flank out with your High Templars. Make sure that you're in good positions. I mean, endgame stages, this is all that matters.
Andre, only 2 High Templars have energy, though. Thorzain caught almost everything. A couple Archons are very weak. But 2 more Templars coming in from another base, trying to see if they can get a good position. This delicate dance is only giving Hwangsin more time to accrue more energy. And you can see Thorzain still has 17 ghosts onto the field and a huge amount of Vikings. But can he get the engagement he wants? Ooh, Hwangsin playing with fire, moving in closer, but he lost an Archon in a blink of an eye.
I see what you did there. Yeah. All right, so, I mean, Hwangsin, he's been behind this whole time. Just the fact that this ghost count exists, what we're going to see, I'm sure, is all these SCVs dying. Like, just send them away.
These scans from Thorzain constantly are exactly what you need to do. At the same time, Hwangsin, I think he needs an observer as well to really keep track of his opponent, but Thorzain's doing such a good job sniping the observers that it's really tough for Hwangsin. He has 4 observers following his Colossus at this point. Really doesn't want the ghost to be able to pick it off.
Yeah, not like last game. And again, going to be found out over here in the bottom position. I love this Planetary Forge, but let's see. The engagement is going to happen on unfavorable terms for Hwangsin. Gotta have a blink. Nice storm.
Oof. Nice storm, almost a pick off, but you know, Thorzain only committed to half his Vikings, and now all of a sudden, Hwangsin keep up a ton of position in order to be able to protect this base.
Oh yeah. There are 2 Colossus in a very awkward position over on the top. Let's see, the big engagement is happening right now. Thorzain actually not engaging well.
He's watching up for the storm. The Colossus doing massive damage. The Vikings can't kill everything in time. The ghosts are running back.
No way, Hwangsin just won the most important fight right there. Now, he did take out all of the observers, so he's able to do a lot of damage with just these ghosts. But the fact of the matter is, Hwangsin taking out that army is so important. It was so much more expensive than his opponents, but he's going to lose, looks like 2 Colossus. Not good.
Oh, heads up play from Thorzain. He scans and snipes the observer that was aiming at the ghost immediately. Thorzain should be able to clean up some of these other units.
No way.
Man, what a heads up play to salvage it. At the same time, Hwangsin crushing the army very nicely with a great precise attack down the center. And now Hwangsin controls the center. This is phenomenal play from both sides.
Absolutely. You know, that the engagement, you always want to have some sort of retreat path. That's the power of bio. If you just think of the power of bio, it's kiting, being able to just attack, move back, attack, move back, attack, move back, and it's very efficient. You've seen this time and time again. But when you actually make it so you have no retreat path, that's where it gets very dicey. And Thorzain put himself right in this little nook. You have no place to go. You're always going to be bunched up. That means Colossus are empowered, High Templars are empowered. That's a big problem. Hwangsin had the fortunate I guess, turn of events of having the engagement over there. I feel like that was Thorzain's mistake rather than Hwangsin's amazing play. But still, both these players are playing like champions, my goodness.
And now Thorzain is starting to realize, wait, does he have anything to protect his main? And the answer is no. This entire time, Hwangsin's been playing very greedy with his positioning. Now Thorzain can start target down some very important structures if he's given the opportunity to. Does have to kind of kite back a little bit, but there's some very important structures here. The Templar Archives. I mean, you can snipe the Templar Archives and the Twilight Council in unison, and as a result, be able to delay High Templar production, but Thorzain now has bought himself some pretty valuable time.
And Frodan, I also want to keep in mind that he only has 7 gateways out in the field. So that is a lot of production that he just stagnated. Of course, losing the bottom middle expansion over here, but he was able to take out one of those medevacs, which is always very helpful. Yeah. But Hwangsin, I want to say he has an advantage, but the mobility still goes to Thorzain. Thorzain can actually exercise his advantage that way and continuously dropping, but it still is very hard for him to actually, you know, make all of these moves. We're going to see him move up here. I still feel like Thorzain still has a pretty good army. If he actually gets clutch EMPs, kills all the Colossus before engagements, which he can with the high Viking count, he will be in a situation where he can actually devastate Hwangsin's force. But as I said before, it's very close.
Love the use of sensor towers as well, something you need to do if you want to lock down certain positions, especially on Daybreak. But man, this is such a drawn out battle that both of them have been playing for positioning. 44 minutes of this game, Andre, and neither player is backing down. They're tied in supply. And Hwangsin's been holding out so long to the point where you have to wonder, is Thorzain going to just mine out quicker than his opponent and forced to commit his army too much? And Hwangsin, again, has been trading very efficiently because he's able to get great positions on his Colossus and not take too much damage from Vikings.
That's exactly right. I mean, Thorzain, it's such an unfortunate turn of events. Thorzain was at an advantage for most of this game. I mean, there's one small moment where, obviously, units inside of his main base not really doing well, but for the most part, he was so far ahead. Just that one engagement, that's how volatile, I wouldn't say volatile, I should say fragile this matchup is. That's how fragile it is because literally you just mistake, you make one mistake and all of a sudden your ghosts are dead. That actually represents a ton, and from there you can actually have a losing line.
Yeah, well now Thorzain's starting to lock down more and more onto the observers, and sending one ghost at a time here and there is really good. I would like to see more nukes from Thorzain, but that's just a selfish request because I love the visual effects of a nuke. Everyone does. Thorzain now has mined out his center expansion. Only really has a top left in terms of gas, and has one top center expansion. So this is going to be very tough for Thorzain in the next coming minutes. As soon as it almost mines out, he's gonna. Is he gonna really move in here? This is a good position for Hwangsin.
Yeah, this isn't a great position for Thorzain to actually attack into. Of course, not only do you have the cannons, but you're attacking into a position where storms are going to be so much more powerful. See this one area? It's not really the best place to actually have those, you know, Marines and Marauders really attacking and doing damage. So unless you can get the money EMPs, this really is going to work out too well. But of course, Thorzain, he's made things happen, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Thorzain has to also be careful of where the observers are positioned by Hwangsin. He has very smart observers pinned between the watchtower and the bottom center expansion, so that way his ghost, if he gets cloaked, he doesn't get caught. At this point, Thorzain's trying to force his way into the game, or into the bottom center of the expansion. Hwangsin now adding more gateways, realizing he needs more remax ability.
Oh no!
Hwangsin's pushing to a very dangerous spot, and Thorzain does a massive stim. Oh, has to be very careful, though.
He has to back up from here, and Hwangsin will know it, because you cannot be attacking into it when you just use stim up. Now, oh wow, EMPs are coming up here. EMP's a cannon. Not every day I actually see that.
Yeah,
See Marauders and Marines.
For
you know, how you can actually overcome this positional problem from Thorzain is actually attack into the middle. And what that's going to do is actually force all the units over into this side, and then you can stim across, which you'll get there a little bit faster. Have your medevacs ready, and then you can actually have them in a good, you know, in good HP. But from here, I mean, you're never going to be attacking into a good position. You're just banking on those good EMPs to actually last you. And I don't know if that's a good way to actually, or a good thing to count on.
Man, this is so tight. You can tell that neither player wants to make the wrong move. The next army battle could decide the entire game. A huge commitment from Thorzain as he loses a lot of his Vikings. Trying to come in from the right side as well. But two storms kind of whip on the units, but they're landing on the Vikings to try to prevent. Can the Colossus do enough damage? Will the Ghosts get the EMPs off? They do get on a huge push in the army. And all of a sudden, Hwangsin's AoE has disappeared. Thorzain pushing in. If Hwangsin loses this expansion, loses this army, he won't be able to reinforce. And Thorzain grabs a supply lead after a very long trenched warfare in the bottom part of the map.
Too Zealot heavy, not enough storms, not enough High Templars layered so that he can storm continuously after the EMPs. A big problem. Thorzain takes a massive advantage, not only having the 12 o'clock, mining out every other place, but denying his opponent more than half of the map.
Wow, Thorzain already moving his expansion, saying, all right, so I hold here for another 10 minutes and then move up and finally take his other expansion. But Hwangsin's down to just one mining base at this point, the bottom right expansion. And Thorzain's got his eyes locked on the prize. He scans, says, this is where I can completely take out my opponent if he can make the last move. But we've seen miracle defenses from Hwangsin before. Can he do it again, Andre?
I don't know. It's going to be very difficult. No real High Templar. Oh, nope, never mind. There are High Templars in there, but they can't be grouped together. You need to actually layer them.
He doesn't have observers here either. So if he doesn't have an observer, he's going to have a tough time spotting the Ghosts.
But there aren't a lot of Vikings. That actually helps out Hwangsin quite substantially. And remember, Vikings be expensive, but he has 2 mining bases. That's yummy, yummy in my tummy. That will be able to really materialize a ton of Vikings pretty soon here. Yeah, this game is absolutely sick.
This game, 51 minutes in, and Thorzain Hwangsin still not trying to overcommit anything. Overextension is one of the biggest fears in Protoss versus Terran, and it's just a story of both players going to the battle furiously, but pulling out just enough to be able to battle again. Huge EMPs from Thorzain. Look at that concave from the Spoon and Swedish Terran. There it is, GG. After 52 minutes of long tug of war back and forth battle, the Spoon Terran has finally taken victory. Thorzain.
See, I told you it was a good idea going for Thorzain. No, just kidding. That was freaking sick. That was awesome.
Hwangsin hung in. I mean, he made that game 30 minutes longer than it had to be.
That's a perfect game of how I would dissect every single battle and tell you guys how they can improve, why they are so intelligent when they're doing obviously 4 or 5 things at once and managing just these armies in the perfect position. I mean, there are so many key parts in that entire game where just the simplest, slightest changes, like a higher Colossus concentration, less Zealots, maybe movement tricks that you can do to actually really get your army in a better position would have been a lot more useful. But overall, both these players played phenomenal. I don't have any problems with either of the players. Bottom line is, not one thing can be attributed to swinging the battle. It was the 52 minutes of play. 52. Well done by Thorzain, but the battle's not done yet. The game, we still have more games to play. Thank you to Twitch, the people that sponsor us through their support of the stream. If you're watching right now, you're watching it through twitch.tv/NASLS4. Thanks, everyone, who make that possible. We'll be back. We need a minute to cool ourselves off, so we'll be back with Thorzain versus Hwangsin in Game 2, but let's fan ourselves off a little bit. We'll be right back. See you in a bit.